In a tense match, Arsenal secured their second consecutive victory of the 2023-24 Premier League season by narrowly defeating Crystal Palace 1-0 at Selhurst Park. The deciding goal came from a confident penalty taken by Martin Odegaard. However, Arsenal had to endure intense pressure from Crystal Palace in the last 30 minutes of the game after Takahiro Tomiyasu received a controversial red card. Arsenal's manager, Mikel Arteta, opted to keep Gabriel Magalhaes on the bench for the second game in a row. Tomiyasu filled in for the injured Jurrien Timber on the left side. Arsenal controlled possession as expected, but a well-organized Palace defense initially held them off, frustrating their attempts to create clear scoring opportunities. Both teams had moments of threat, with Palace trying to capitalize on counterattacks and forcing Arsenal's goalkeeper, Aaron Ramsdale, to make saves. Arsenal's Nketiah had a couple of prime chances to score but missed the target. Odegaard also had a long-range attempt saved by Palace's goalkeeper, Sam Johnstone. Odegaard's goal had given Arsenal the lead, but their situation became challenging when Tomiyasu was sent off after receiving a second yellow card, leaving Arsenal with 10 players. Crystal Palace intensified their attacks and attempted to exploit their numerical advantage. They came close to equalizing on a few occasions, with Odsonne Edouard missing a good chance and Patrick Mitchell's late volley sailing over the crossbar. The match ended with Arsenal holding on for a hard-fought victory, celebrating their defensive resilience. Arsenal's next match is against Fulham, while Crystal Palace will face Brentford in their upcoming fixtures. Let's go around the punditry world to hear what the experts are saying about Arsenal's winning start to the season.
And then, you have to win in any context, and they put a really difficult context for us for 30 minutes, but I'm so pleased that the team has the character, the resilience, the guts to overcome the situation, don't concede nothing and win the game.
Tomiyasu, no one will complain about the yellow card for the time wasting. It's something they've told the players that will cut out, but the shirt pull seemed very weak in the context of the rest of the match. There have been situations like that through it, not punished with a yellow card. Of course, there's not going to be a VAR for a second yellow. I don't want to get you in trouble. I'm just going to ask your interpretation of how you felt the yellow for that pull was.
I prefer not to give my opinion because if not, I will be in trouble.
Okay, you can talk around it. Do you think it was a weaker pull than in the context of the game and consistency?
That word doesn't exist, and you mentioned it. So with the challenges that were in the game, if not, obviously we're going to be seeing games very different to 11 against 10 or 10 against 10 or 9 against 9. But let's see.
And building up to the penalty, they did check to see if Partey had infringed the defence. There's a lot of looking back at that and believing that actually that could have been a call as well, that he could have stopped players from defending against Nketiah. What was your view of it? Were you worried he would have been looked at for infringement there?
I don't think it's enough there. I think it's a really sharp action, really good action. I think it's a clear penalty.
And it was actually not Saka but your captain Odegaard who stepped up for the penalty. Is it going to be rotational, or was it because Saka missed the last one? What was the decision process?
To be fair, it was their decision. So I was surprised and they made a decision. I want that leadership on the pitch to feel if a player wants to change it, if they want to give it, and they have the freedom to do that. So today they've done it that way. Doesn't mean that they're going to be like this.
Come back from a man down, which means you are really light in that position now going into the match, but also Nketiah didn't get a big warm response as he came off, but he tried so hard and won that penalty, and then after that just needing that clinical finish in front. Is there enough love for Nketiah, and where do you find that cutting edge hard?
He certainly has my love, and everybody's love in that dressing room and our club. He's a player that we rate a lot. If you see the actions and how active he was in the game and the amount of issues that he created to Palace, the two big chances that he had in normal day, he pushed them away. He didn't, but that didn't make him sad and put the head down and then just navigate through the game. He won it, and that's his mentality, and I love him for that, and he helped us to win the game.
Thank you.
Well, a narrow defeat. Do you think that you did enough to get something out of it?
Difficult to say. I would be tempted to say yes. I thought that certainly when they went down to 10 men, we really did give it our best shot. We piled bodies into their half of the field, but of course we're playing against a top quality team, and they were able to defend the efforts that we had. But I think the penalty was a bit of a harsh decision in the sense that the block on the player who was allotted to, pardon me, doing the job of defending that position. He couldn't get there because he was blocked off, and that gave him that opening. Maybe a bit naive from our side, perhaps. Maybe we needed to avoid being blocked, but that I thought was a bit harsh on us. I'd have preferred them to have scored a goal in open play, but I can't criticise the team's performance at all. I thought they kept their end up throughout the game, and I thought that we gave a very good account of ourselves.
VAR did check whether there was a foul in the build-up to Arsenal getting that penalty. Have you had an explanation why they didn't think that block was illegal?
No, but I mean, you don't get to speak to VAR here,
or even the referee.
I don't know what the referee was discussing with VAR, but we would have liked to have seen that perhaps reanalysed. But having said that, it's a minor thing. There was no doubt that it was a foul, and that Sam Johnson did catch him, so we weren't complaining at all about that. It's one step further back, and that's always a bit more difficult to get those decisions.
Is there a bit of disappointment that you switched off for the free kick, though, because obviously they took it quickly? Yeah,
well, I don't know if we did switch off completely, because we had a player who was actually going to make his way into that area to defend it had he not been blocked, so it's not totally a case of switching off, but you do have to give credit to the Arsenal quick thinking and the quality of the pass in there as well, so, but that's why they are where they are.
You put some pressure on after they went down to 10 men. Was the disappointment that you didn't ask enough questions of Ramsdale?
Yeah, probably. I mean, they got a lot of bodies around him, didn't they? So we unfortunately couldn't get through that cordon of defenders, but that's often the case. But no, in fact, there was very few disappointments in the game for me in terms of the Crystal Palace performance. But I think on another day we would have been feeling even happier and proud of ourselves than we are after a 1-0 defeat.
And on another day, could Emirates have had a penalty, do you think?
I don't know, I haven't seen that. I mean, I saw the incident from way back where I was, but I've not seen it close up.
Thanks for your time, Roy.
Week's game, but what was it like to end that game off, and how nervy was it today?
Yeah, I mean, I think the red card changed the game a bit, so in the end was it was a tough one, and I had to really fight for it and really dig deep there at the end, but yeah, I think we deserved the win. I think we were the better team throughout the game, and yeah, maybe we missed a little bit on the final third today, but yeah, I think we deserved the 3 points.
It's all come down to one moment in the game, a penalty that you did score. Now, we saw Nketiah holding the ball, and he does take a lot of Arsenal's penalties. Did you have to ask for the ball, though?
We've been taking, in pre-season a lot, and I've scored all mine, so just asked him, and he gave it to me, so yeah, I have to thank him for that one.
How well did Eddie do in the build-up to the penalty and winning it?
Yeah, brilliant. Again, you see the contribution every game, every time he plays, so yeah, we're lucky to have him there, and he gives us so much, so yeah, well done again to him and to the whole team, to really dig for it and fight for it and get the 3 points. That was all that was important today.
You mentioned the red card for Nketiah and how it did change the game in the second half. What did you make of the 2 yellow cards that he got? Do you feel it was harsh, perhaps?
Yeah, I think, to get a red card from these 2 situations is very harsh. The second one I haven't seen again, but on the pitch it looked very soft. And the first one, I don't think he's trying to take a lot of time there, but it's just no one to play to, So I think it was harsh, but that's life, that's football, and we had to deal with it. And I think we did that brilliantly. And yeah, credit to the team, credit to everyone who came on, and got us the 3 points in the end.
And it's 2 wins now from 2 games this season so far. How much are you enjoying the start to the campaign?
Yeah, I mean the beginning of the season is always a bit tricky. I think it always takes a little bit time to peak, So in the beginning it's so important to get those 3 points, and we've done that twice now. So we have to keep going, keep building on that, and I'm sure we will improve a lot.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Cheers.
It's a big moment that who managed to hold on for victory, and we can speak to Declan Rice now live from Selhurst Park. Evening to you, Declan. Congratulations on the victory. Just how tough were those closing stages, though?
When you're as a player on that pitch and you look up at the clock and you've got 20 minutes to go and you're down to 10 men against this young, athletic, Crystal Palace side, it's going to be tough. But these are the places you want to come. If you want to win Premier Leagues, if you want to be up there at the end of the season, these are the stadiums you've got to come to, show character, and pluck out the 3 points. And I thought we thoroughly deserved it in the end. Was that why, though, there was the big celebration? We saw the emotion on all of your faces at the end. Yeah, I think it was a massive relief, to be honest with you, to get through them 20 minutes. We obviously know what Selhurst Park is like. I think we controlled the game completely up until when we went down to 10 men. You know, they got a hold in the game, but I think it was a faces of relief just because of the way we defended, and you know, we put our bodies on the line to get the 3 points tonight.
Declan, you were absolutely outstanding that last half an hour in terms of obviously the resilience that you showed, and I'm sure that's why you were pleased at the end. Just what's the players' initial approach and take on these new rules that have coming in around time wasting? Obviously, I think Tomiyasu took one for the team in terms of 23 seconds were taken for the throw-in. Do the players like the extra time that's being added on? Do they like the idea of players being booked for this sort of time wasting or not?
Yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think at the start of the season we always have referees meeting at every club, and you know, they come in and explain the new rules, so you know, we know what's happening. We know if we're time wasting we're going to get a yellow card. Obviously they're stamping down on it much more now. Obviously to see 7, 8, 9 minutes go up at the end of the game can be frustrating at times, but you know, they laid down the law at the start of the season, and you know, I suppose if we're time wasting there's nothing we can really do about it. It's the new law of the game.
Declan, the manager mentioned at the start of the show your role changing this week. What was it, the adaptations that he told you to do tonight?
I think it was against Nottingham Forest. We played a diamond in midfield, and I was like to the left of the diamond, and tonight I was the single pivot, so you know, I dropped back kind of one spot. But in the last 4 weeks, you know, I've learned so much. I've spoke about it. I'm learning different ways of playing the position, you know, constantly on the move, learning how we build up, learning how we play as a team. You know, I'm really trying to test myself, you know, because to play for Arsenal, to play at the highest level, you need to be one of the best, and you know, I'm eager to keep learning and you know, keep flourishing.
Is there a particular role that you prefer out of that, in that diamond formation? Is this one that you might feel a bit more comfortable in?
No, look, I think I love going forward. I think I showed that last year with West Ham. You know, my attacking capabilities, even though I'd have loved to have got more goals, I really enjoyed going forward. And you know, I've had a conversation with the manager here as well. He sees me in that role, but also he sees me in the number 6 role. And you know, I'm really comfortable playing in both. And you know, I think that will help the team throughout the season.
Declan, you mentioned goals there, and that has probably been the one criticism that's been, you know, put to yourself in terms of being, you know, a top midfielder, you know, £100 million man. We actually analysed that as well, your numbers before the game. Do you think there's a possibility that going forward with the more attacking role that can change, and is that something that you're determined to do?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, even here at West Ham, you know, the lads are always on to me to shoot more, to score more. You know, I'm definitely trying to put that emphasis myself on scoring more goals. I had 2 great chances against Forest. I'm playing a bit more higher up the pitch as well when we're attacking, even as the 6. So balls are going to drop to me now. But I need to put them away. You know, like you said, there's so many people that talk about me scoring goals, you know, because I do the other side of the stuff really well. But obviously to score goals as well is really good, and I know I've got the ability to, so that's something I'm definitely more hungry for.
You spoke before about the different roles. I mean, you've spoken as well in interviews about almost like the education you've had at Arsenal in these different roles going forward. I mean, how far, when you've been in this team now, do you think it can go? It was very close to the title last season. They've spent big money on you. You'll be seen as the man who's got to make the difference in that role.
Yeah, look, obviously we can't get carried away. We're only 2 games in here. You know, it's about momentum. It's about, you know, taking each game as it comes, coming to places like your Palaces and winning and getting 3 points and building momentum. And obviously we've got a tough schedule coming up after September. So look, we're going to be ready for it. Last year there was obviously big pressure on Arsenal to win the Premier League, and like I said, that's why I signed for Arsenal, because I believe in the vision. I believe in the manager. I believe in this team, how young and hungry we all are. We know Man City are, you know, the best team in the world at the minute, and they're tough to stop. But you know, it's a great challenge ahead. Look, let's keep fighting, keep pushing, and taking each game as it comes.
Can't believe Caicedo's broken your record already, though, Declan. Can't be happy with that. It didn't last long.
I had it up on the wall for 2 weeks. It's come down already.
One thing I would say before you leave us, you really just look like you're enjoying yourself already in an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, do you know what? Before the game tonight, I was on the way to the game, and I just thought, just go out there and have it tonight. Just go out there and then try and put on a show. And you know, even in the warm-up, I just felt an energy that, you know, I wanted to go out there and perform. And you know, I was just really up for it, to be honest with you. Only 2 games in, obviously there's so much talk around the price tag and me playing for Arsenal, and you know, I want to keep proving people wrong, proving people I can play at the top, and you know, I want to keep putting in top performances. So yeah, I'll keep my feet on the ground and, you know, keep listening to everyone around me and keep pushing.
Great start, Declan. Keep going. Thanks so much for joining us.
Guys. Good to speak to you. Thank you. See you later.
Did point out that Michael Olise is not quite ready, and Matheus França, the new Brazilian signing as well, is not quite ready, but still Crystal Palace want a bit more. That being said, that has to happen, doesn't it, in the next 2 weeks? Or would you have worries about them, given the size of the squad?
I've not got any worries about them. I think they've got I thought it was a good performance tonight in relation to who they were playing. I remember last season we watched Arsenal at Crystal Palace in the first game of the season, and Arsenal were electric and tore them to shreds. I don't think Arsenal tonight were fluid. What I think we respect from Arsenal tonight is the fact that they've gone to a really difficult place to play and they've dug in there at the end and shown sort of really good sort of personality. So well done to them for that, because it's a hard place to go. I agree with what Karen said after the game. That was always a tough place to go, Selhurst Park. But I think from Palace's point of view, there are a lot of good things in that game. I wouldn't be panicking. I don't think Roy's the type of manager that will be knocking on Steve Parish's door and demanding loads of money. I think he'll think, no, I've got a good group. Yeah, maybe 1 or 2 if they can, but they won't panic and get people in and overspend.
He had 15 goals last season. He's off and running with that penalty that Bukayo Saka gave him this evening. And the fact that, I just mentioned, there are only 3 teams who've won their first 2 games just shows you the way the Premier League is. And 2 wins out of 2, even though it's 2 games, is an impressive start.
It's such a competitive league. That's why we all love it, because there's always shocks around the corner for any team. We all know Man City are a real force, and Arsenal, hopefully they can keep it going throughout the season. They're going to ups and downs, you know, it's like a roller coaster ride. But the big thing for me this season, they learnt their lessons from last year. You know, when they made mistakes, you know, it's a young team last year, and it still is a young team, but have you learnt from the mistakes? The Liverpool game when they was 2-0 up, West Ham when they was 2-0 up. It's just seeing the game out, and tonight they did that. They saw the game out very well and got all 3 points, because at the end of the season, when you do win the title, or if you do win the title, they don't analyse every game how you got those 3 points. It's about getting those 3 points. So I think that's the difference for tonight and probably a couple of games last season.
Yeah, and you can make a real point for Arsenal being a lot better. The experience that they had last season, the new players that they've got, they're going to give Manchester City a good run for their money this year.
Welcome back. Arsenal winning at Crystal Palace by 1-0, finishing with 10 men. So much to discuss. Let's go straight into it. It all happened in that second half. The incident for the penalty. We think it's a penalty, but we're also looking at Thomas Partey's role in it?
Well, certainly this is a training ground where they work on. Usually it's a corner where you try and spin it round the back and someone blocks you, the defender. But free kick, Martinelli, as you can see there, they've worked on this, and Thomas Partey just puts his body there. Whether that's interfering with play, the rules these days, I mean, it's so inconsistent, some of the decisions. But certainly it's a penalty. Nketiah, he does so well here just to get his toe on it, and Johnson has to make that. As you see there's contact and it is a penalty. But whether Partey has played a part in him getting away from, as you see it there, that's the big question.
Yeah, well, straight away I said there's been a block there when the penalty was given. And I think the question is, how much of a block was it, basically? Would the player have got there if he wasn't blocking him? Saka, that's an interesting bit as well. Saka holding the ball for the whole duration of the fallout from the penalty.
Johnston.
And then finally they hand it to Odegaard. Then you've got Sam Johnson, as you can see at the top of your screen. He's looking at the bench because he, and rightly said in commentary, he's probably been preparing for Saka to take the penalty, and it was a lovely stroked home penalty in the end. But so much to look at there. The other side and the other situation to it is that Partey, when he was blocking, he was actually in an offside position as well. Now, whether he's interfering with play is another question that we can.
We'll go ring in Dermot in a moment. Quick one on the penalty, though. That was really interesting because Saka's taken 5 of Arsenal's last 6 penalties in the last 2 years, and Odegaard's not taken any for Arsenal.
I'm amazed by that. I mean, I was at pre-season, he missed one in pre-season, and maybe just thought, well, let Martin Odegaard take it, and you can see Sam Johnson, though.
Caught him out,
He baffled, because now he's looking at the goalkeeper coach, I should imagine, because they talk through certain players who take penalties, and some players always put it in the same position. But Odegaard obviously was very cool and calm and just slotted it in that corner. So interesting. But David Seaman always said to me back in the day, always used to look at their run-ups, the way they're running up to the ball. But obviously Odegaard looked like he was going to go that Sam Johnson way he went, but because sometimes when you open your body up like he did, you can sometimes get them wrong. But he got that totally right, and a good call penalty in the end.
OK, Dermot Gallagher, come in and help us, because we need to ask first of all about Thomas Partey's role in that. Is it a foul, first of all, by Thomas Partey and Lerma?
I think not, Steve. I think he's there to block. We get that. But if you see it sideways on, you see how Lerma goes down, you would say that the fall is not commensurate with what happens. You know, he's got a little touch off Lerma. We see all the time defenders reach for attackers reach for defenders. I would say that doesn't marry up there. Going back to the offside, if he's in offside position, that's not an offence in itself. He hasn't taken part in play because he hasn't touched the ball. And he hasn't moved towards the ball. The ball quite clearly goes to Nketiah, who you can see is well away from Partey. You know, you see the ball now, it travels well away. So he takes no part in that move for an offside offence. VAR looks at it, checks, is it a penalty? Yes, I don't think there's any doubt about that. Checks to see if Partey has committed a foul, says no. Checks to see whether it's offside, he doesn't take part in that move, so the penalty's awarded.
Dermot, you say he's not interfering there being offside, but he is interfering with an opponent, isn't he? Does that come into the equation?
Well, it's difficult to say, Michael, because interfering with an opponent, is he challenged for the ball to stop the opponent getting to the ball? Well, you look at that, I would think Lerma will be very hard pressed to get to that ball. So there's all kinds of them things come into play. One of the things I referred back to earlier was the Isak goal last week, where we had a similar situation. The ball's played across towards Botman, who's in offside position, and clashes with Cash. Again, this is it. If you see this ball comes in, it's Botman at the bottom of the pitch who's offside. Cash runs into him, again a similar situation, but the ball goes to Dan Burn, who's just in front of Botman. So again, you've got a similar situation where the ball doesn't reach Botman, a bit like Partey today. Ball gets played in if you run it on, and it's run on. It's actually Burn who's starting off onside position, plays it to Isak. So we've got a similar situation there, in so much as that's how the rule is interpreted. We've got it here. It's the same thing, you know, the ball's played. Partey's there. If you see Nketiah spin off, the ball's played between the two Palace defenders at the bottom of the screen. It goes to Nketiah in space, and you see the distance between him and Partey. So he can't be given as an offside offence, because obviously he doesn't touch the ball and he doesn't take part in that move towards the ball.
OK, Dan.